Don Poyer along with Jim Hendrick back to the pit. This is the 711, virtually a brand new boat for 1986. New sponsons, new transom, new systems inside, and of course the enclosed canopy. Let's listen to Steve Reynolds along with Jerry Burrihill as they talk strategy.
Just keep me abreast as to where the hell Milner is and Snyder. They'll all be on the inside. I don't want to hurt anybody.
The two will talk throughout the race via two-way radio. This is Scott Pierce driving the Bud Griffon and the Kenny Volvo. Leif Borges and the team manager, he drove for the team last year. And now the 711 ready to go out for Heat 1B. Let's look at the drivers. First of all, Ron Snyder driving the Miss Madison after sitting out 1985. Great driver. Milner Irvin and the Frank Kenny Volvo, a Seattle-based team. Scotty Pierce and the Miss Budweiser Griffon drove the Executone last year. And the top qualifier in this heat, Steve Reynolds at 117. That familiar sound of the Budweiser Griffon, you can hear it rumbling in the background as Scotty Pierce lines it up for the flying start here. Clock winding down. They cannot cross the starting line until the clock expires. More of the Madison crowd supporting Ron Snyder, who right now is way out in front for the start. It's a legal start. What a great job by Ron Snyder going down the main straightaway in lane number 2. Into the south turn. In second place is the Budweiser with Scotty Pierce. You saw the 711 go by. Danny Walters talking with 711 owner Steve Woomer. This is Milner Irvin and the Frank Kenny Volvo heading back into the pit. So they've got problems. Down to 3 votes. But in first place is Ron Snyder, who sat out 1985 and is now back in the saddle for the Miss Madison. Now into the back chute. You see the 711 coming around in third place. Ron Snyder, the only conventional style boat now in existence, and is competitive, we should say. That means the driver sitting behind the engine in that turbocharged Allison. In third place, the enclosed cockpit of the 711. In second place, the Budweiser, the Griffon-powered Budweiser, the boat that was on the circuit last year with Jim Kropfeld in the cockpit. Ron Snyder, ooh, look at the Budweiser Griffon almost sliding into the Miss Madison. Nancy Saddam still yelling on for Ron Snyder, who could pick up 400 points if he holds on to the lead here. Scotty Pierce, Steve Reynolds, 711. Steve, you can tell that it seems like the boat is laboring just a bit. They've had some problems with temperatures. High temperatures in the engine, the salt water, the humidity. It's been a tough time for the 711, but they're trying to at least pick up the points. They could get 225 with a third place finish. In fact, that boat has never gotten any points in 2 tries, 2 years down here in Miami. So they're trying to improve on it and look at the overall points race for 1986. Ron Snyder, in the meantime, that turbocharged Allison running just beautifully. Getting a little chop now in the north turn as he comes down to complete his second lap. Running at an average speed of right around 100, 102 miles per hour. And Scotty Pierce still getting used to that new ride in the Budweiser Griffon. Better than 30,000 cheering on Ron Snyder. Already a popular choice of the fans here in Miami. The 711, the sleek new design, coming around, holding on to third place, Reynolds. There you can see the crowd behind Snyder as he comes down. That boat originally built by Ron Jones, Jim Lucero, a great boat. Some of the greats drove it too. The George Henleys, the Bill Muncies of hydroplane racing. Again, Carol Hughes keeping track of the laps for Ron Snyder and the rest of the Madison crew cheering on Snyder and company. Still in first place, a boat that is well over 10 years old is leading the Budweiser Griffon. Back to the 711, that boat qualified at better than 117 miles per hour. You know if they get things straightened out, it'll be just fine here in Miami. Snyder, again, who sat out 1985, hoping to get a little better ride, a hotter ride, and maybe a cab-over design boat. Finally, after so many phone calls from fans and crew members of the Miss Madison and the city of Madison, he finally said, if I say I'll drive your boat in 86, will you quit calling? So he did so. He's driving the boat and is in first place in Heat 1B, leading the Budweiser Griffon. Snyder out of Piqua, Ohio, first place. Scott Pierce out of Seattle, second place. And in third place, the 711 with Steve Reynolds, also based out of Seattle. The threatening clouds in the background behind the skyline of Miami. We may get some rain before the day is over with. Doesn't matter, though, right now for Ron Snyder. You can see some of the chop for the 711 and the rest of the boats here getting a little rough. This boat once the pay-in pack. Once the Van Line's a world champion under both colors. And now Ron Snyder will pick up 400 points. Winner of Heat 1B, the Miss Madison and Ron Snyder. Second place to Scotty Pierce, 300 points, the Bud Griffon. And third place, Steve Reynolds, chipping along and getting those 225 points. 3 out of 4 boats finished Heat 1B as you see the points. And now let's go down to the Miss Madison camp and hear from driver Ron Snyder.
Good job, Ron. Hell of a job.
You in there? Wonder why I'm still too rich.
Congratulations, Bob. Charlie.
Oh, have patience, you know.
How can I have patience when the guy that hung it up about a year ago, took a year off, comes back and wins his first heat?
I had lady luck on my side today, Jim.
You got a pretty good jump on that start. I mean, you led wire to wire and held off that challenge by Miss Budweiser with Scotty Pierce and that number 3 and 4 corner.
You know, Jim, I had a year off last year, and that's when the digital clock came in, and I have never run against it. That's the only thing I was worried about.
Well, you made it on the money.
Thank you.
The winner here at Heat 1B, Don.
Hey, you got the hat from Jamie, your daughter here. Scotty, a second place, but that doesn't really matter. You got your first taste of competition in the new boat.
Well, that's true, Don. The new Miss Budweiser is new to me. Is a lot different than what I've driven in the past. It's a fine machine, but I'm the rookie here, and I'm just trying to make the smart moves and not get in over my head.
First lap here, 3 and 4, got real tight there on the buoy. Anything happen?
Well, no. My boat here, I got in too tight, and it's just I scrubbed a lot of speed, and at that point, I just felt it's a preliminary, and we better keep on from there.
Now that Heats 1A and 1B are over with, it's time for the draw. And then Bernie Little, Steve Woomer, and the officials finding out where their boats are going to run now in 2A, 2B. Don Jones, the commissioner of the Unlimited Racing Commission, on the far left. This is Bill McFadden, the owner of the Aboy Alberto, Jim and Nancy Saddam. In the meantime, let's talk with crew chief Jerry Burhill of the 711.
Jerry, strategy-wise, you got the finishes what you wanted, and we did hear the compressor stalling again. What's the situation here?
Well, we're still a pinch off in the fuel control, but finishing not many laps. Now we've got a place to work from, and he brought a lot of information back for us, so we'll adjust the fuel control on this motor, and I think by the end of the day we'll have it straightened right out.
Stay with the same engine, though?
Yeah, well, no, we're going to swap back and forth, but he's got plenty of power. I mean, if the temperature's coming up and he's keeping it down, and when he does that, it builds a little pressure in the motor and makes it stall. Okay. If he could run around up there, shame on him.
2 more preliminary heats on deck. We're in Miami, and we'll return in just a moment.